Hello everyone, I'm North Hempstead Town Supervisor Judy Bosworth. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have embarked on creating a virtual exercise series for our senior residents. We partnered with our Project Independence fitness instructors to host these virtual classes, which will allow you to stay fit and healthy by participating from the safety of your home. Please enjoy.
My last class was kind of a mix between movements and anaerobic and weights and resistance training. This one is going to be more about movement, what's called aerobic or cardiovascular programming, more technically. So it's going to actually work your heart, your respiratory system by moving our limbs. So we're going to start very slowly. And we're going to start with, so basically we're going to work on like a scale of what you think you're doing on a scale of 1 to 10. So when you wake up in the morning and you start that movement, you should be at a level 1. So we'll start from like level 1. We're going to start to just walk in place. So it's very slow. We start off slow. You should spend at least 5 to 10 minutes, depending on your physical ability and your age and weight. All kinds of things go into it. But so let's just say we're going to 5 to 10 minutes, and we want to take this up to a level of 2 or 3, and then that would be considered a warm-up. We will try to work it up to levels 5 and 6. Going above a 6 starts to maybe become a little bit risky, depending on your physical condition. That's the warning, but so the benefits. When you have better cardiovascular or aerobic condition, you'll be more energetic. What they call the activities of daily living, things that you have to do every day just to live, become easier. So we're going to come into another movement. We're going to just going to go stepping side to side, and I bend my knees a little bit, and then go to the other side. So people that are more physically fit are less tired. They go through their daily activities expending less energy than people that are not fit. It improves your sleep, your stress levels go down. So there's many advantages to it. I don't want to get too far into that. Just letting you know it's good for you. So just basic movement. Then I'm going to come back to walk. So you may have got your level up a little bit too high too soon, which is a major problem with exercise, is people will do too much too soon. Like you'll see people that are not familiar in the gym, and they just go in there and they just lift the heaviest weight that they can just to start off with. It's a way of getting injured. You don't want that. Injuries will take away from your time that you're going to spend training. I'm going to use a resistance band. So the basic rule of the resistance band is the closer your hands are together, the harder. So generally you want your shoulder width apart, your hands. I'm going to make it a little wider, and I'm going to stretch the band. And then I'm going to add some leg movement. So I'm going to step to the side and I'm going to kick my leg back. So as we warm up slowly, if you feel like you're going too much, you feel like your effort is at level 7 or above, you want to slowly take it down. I know I learned that from my young age at running high school track, and we were running and spinning around the track. You got halfway around the track, and everybody starts laying down. The coach comes running across the field and telling everybody to get up. Oh yeah, very bad for you. I'm going to do how to come out of that. Okay, I'm working a little hard. I was like, whew, okay. Now I'm going to slow it down. Instead of even marching in place, right now I'm walking in place. My heat is still up, but my heart rate, my breathing slows. And I'm going to even slow it down more. I'm just going to walk in place, just kind of like strolling. We're going to do more, but if this is what to do, don't just sit down. So at this point, yeah, now my heart is down, I could sit down. But instead, if you feel good, we're going to do a little bit more work. So I'm going to bring the band around my back, over my shoulder blades. And again, I like to hold it in closer where it's more resistance, but today, being more movement, I'm going to slide my hands further away. And I'm going to come in, taking my arms away from me. This is called a press. And again, we're also going to do some leg movements, like I'm walking in place. People that want more, you can start marching in place. It's depending on your level that you're starting with. You all have to start from some point. Some people are actively walk every day or run. Yeah, they're going to be a little less interested. They want to start at a higher level. The important thing is not to start too much too soon. You do a lot one day, and all of a sudden you're really tired, and the next day you're tired, you're sore, you don't want to do it. This is stuff you have to do every day. The basic rule of exercise is we need to do a moderate exercise 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, 2.5 hours a week. It's not a lot. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to start walking in place. Some people still want to work harder. They can do their marching or other exercises. We're going to come to another exercise, a little bit for the back. I'm going to take the band, again, my hands are wide apart. I'm going to take the arms up and I'm going to draw the band down into my chest and come back up. Stretching the band apart as I pull it down. I'm using the muscles in my back. And I'm going to start to go a little faster. And I'm going to come back to my stepping to the side. And a little bit of a squat. It's really more of a lunge. Side lunges. And again, you start to feel like it's too much. Slow it down, but go down slowly. So if you're feeling too much, you just stay here. I'm going to stop stepping. And then I'm going to stop my arms and I'm just going to walk in place. Yeah, believe me, these exercises, if you really push hard, even if you're fit, you can start to feel a lot of effort being done. So we're going to go into my favorite exercise, the squats. So there's all different types of squats. I'm going to use the band. Again, I'm putting the band around my back, over my shoulder blades. I'm going to sit my hips down and come back up. I'm pressing into the heels. I almost fell backwards that time, which is really the direction you want to go. If you feel the weight lifting up out of your toes, you're going the right direction. If you feel your hips lift, your heels lifting up, you're stressing the knees, and you got to move your hips back more. I'm going to add a little bit of a shoulder press. So technically, they kind of call this a front squat because they usually would hold a weight in front of them. And you can go faster with this, and we'll get more difficulty later, which when we get to that point you feel like it's too much, just do these basic squats. So it's basically I'm just sticking my hips out and back of me. And I could go faster if you want more aerobic capacity, or slower if you want less. And when you get tired, you start to feel you can't breathe right, your breath is no good. That's an easy indication that you're pushing maybe a little too hard. And we're going to just walk in place as I'm going to come into the next movement. So I'm combining, I'm using my arms and legs simultaneously. Uses more heart power. So we're going to come into lunges. But this time I'm going to take, again, I'll put the band behind my back and we'll add some arm movement too. But for now, I'm going to come into what's called the basic lunge. So I'm going to turn to the side. I'm going to step back and I bend my front knee and I'm going to come back up. Then the other side. I can make this harder by stepping forward. And I can make it harder too. I'm going to take my arms alongside my ears here. And as I step back, I'm going to straighten the arms. Yeah, by the way, you see, it gets harder to do. I'm going at a slow, even pace. You could use dumbbells too. I would say for this, you want to go with the easier one. If you have heavy dumbbells, the resistance band might be a better option. If you have lighter dumbbells, like 1 or 2 pounders, that might be better. And I'm going to pause. You can do some more. I'm going to walk in place. So I'm doing arms and legs. You will feel a little muscular work done, but it's more about the heart. So I'm going to come into side lunges again. I do like lunges. So I'm going to do the side lunge a little differently. I'm going to step out to the side. I bend my knee and I come back up. Other side, back up. Side to side. As we will get, as we go and you start to warm up more, we're going to make these harder and harder. So you could do any of the arm movements, or you could even mix them up. So I'm going to take the band. I'm going to stretch my arms wide. Couple more. And just walking. Ooh, okay, another thing you can do if you start to get tired and you want a little stretching, I'm going to walk in place while I circle my arms around. I'm just slowing it down, getting a lot of nice stretching into my shoulders and arms. It's nice because I'm warmed up and I can start stretching these tight areas very easily. I'll come back to working our way back into the squats. This time I'm gonna do a little different. I'm not gonna need the band for this one. I'll hold it anyway. I'm gonna take a step out wide. I turn my toes out, and I'm gonna go into what's called a bouncing squat. So I bring my hips back and down. I lower them down as far as your hips can come down as low as the knees. You'll feel it very hard, but then I'm going to come up a few inches, knees still bent, and then I'm going to go back down again, up and down. So they call it the bouncing squat. And these exercises are good because you don't really even need any equipment. But I'm just using a simple band. You don't even need that. You can use water bottles. I'm going to add on by taking my arms around and up. It's kind of like a pilates squat if anybody's taken ballet. But you'll feel a lot of intensity in your legs, which I am feeling. So I'm going to come out and just walk it out. Now just, again, watching your breath. If you can't breathe comfortably, I always recommend slowing it down. You never want to hold the breath. That's very bad for us. Particularly doing this heart, all this work is working our heart anyway. You hold your breath, that's gonna put more stress into the heart. And we'll go back to lunges. This time I'm not gonna turn to the side. I'm gonna make it a little bit harder. I'm gonna step forward. If it's too much, you can have a chair at any time to hold on to. So I'm just going to step forward and come back. Step the other leg forward and come back. And you could go very fast with this. You can go slow with it. You can again use the band again, which I will do with using my press, where I'm going to, instead of pressing straight away or overhead, I'm pressing about the top of my head. And I'm going to stop and just walk. I'm going to keep my hands here for a little while as I'm going to do a little exercise just for my arms. I'm going to just keep walking. You can walk fast if you want or slow. We're going to do just a little, I'm just going to straighten my right arm and then the left. And then adding on to this, this can get hard. So just if anytime you're feeling it's getting to be too much, just stop. So I'm going to step my right foot forward and straighten the left arm, coming back up. Left foot, right arm, opposite leg. It's kind of like anybody's ever taken self-defense, karate, or boxing. It's called it's similar. I'm not going to say it is. It's similar to a reverse punch. So depending on how fast you go, as to how hard it's going to be. And then if you get tired, we're going to pause and just walk. Again, if you're feeling like you need to sit down, just walk in place for a few minutes and then sit down. Maybe get some water, as I'm going to make this a little harder. So I'm going to step again, step my right foot, left arm, come back up. Left foot, right arm, left arm, come back. Again, I'm going pretty slow with this. If you want to go fast, it will make it a lot more difficult. See, it gets a little confusing, right and left. Starting with the opposite arm, opposite leg, and then the other arm. So we're going to do a couple more of these, and then we'll move on to the more difficult exercises. We'll start off with the easy ones, and then work with just walk in place a little bit. Going back to the squat. So I'm going to actually do this even without the band. I'm just going to put the band aside for now. So this can get to be hard enough as it is. Squats, yes, very difficult. I'm moving my feet back to hip width apart, and I'm going to take my hips back, take the arms up. The basic, simple variation of the squat. If this is too hard, stop. Or if you feel like it's getting at the border, you feel like you're at level 6, and you may want to just stay with this. But if you want more, as I come back up, I'm going to lift my right leg up, lower down. Take the arm coming back, coming up this time with the left leg, and just keep switching. Do a couple more of these as we're going to come into the slightly more difficult. So again, I'm just going to slow it down. Just let the heat calm down. So even though we're doing this, we still need to do some stretching at the end. So the next one is it's kind of a cross between lunges and a squat. So we're going to start off very basic. They call it a kersey lunge. I'm going to take my right foot back behind the left. I bend the front knee. My knee stays over the ankle, and I come up. And then go to the other side. It's important to get the alignment right here. So if you're new to this, just starting here, like you're doing a kersey, like you're lifting up the kersey. And as this gets more harder, they kind of changes from the kersey lunge to a skating lunge. You ever see speed skaters? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come here, switch the arms, and start to go faster. You can even start to jump from side to side, which I'm not doing. I don't recommend that. But yeah, speed skaters will do stuff like this on the surface that they can slide on. And believe me, you can only do it for a few minutes at a time, even top athletes. Okay, I'm gonna come back and walk in place. Okay, let me find my band again. Coming back again to lunges. Slight change of lunge. I'm going to do my shoulder presses again. So this is kind of similar, but I'm going to change it around. I'm going to do one leg and then the other. So I'm going to start with my right leg. I'm going to step back, arms up. Then I'm going to step out to the side, take the arms up. Then I'm going to step straight ahead. And I'm going to switch legs. I'm going to go, it's like I'm going around the clock. I'm actually going counterclockwise. And I'm coming back to center. Okay, I'm going to start on the other leg this time, just so I do evenly on both sides. So I'm going to step back with my left leg. and then I'm stepping to the side, and then stepping forward. So it's supposedly like the hands of a clock. That's why I mentioned I'm going clockwise. Right? A lot of younger people today don't know what that means because they use the digital clocks. So we're going to add on to this. So I'm going to add like the midway point. I'm going to step back. So I'm stepping to 6 o'clock up. Then I'm going to step to 4:30. Then to 3 o'clock. Then to 1:30. And then back to 12 o'clock. Switching sides, actually keep going around counterclockwise. Again, I'm doing 12 o'clock. Then what is that? I think it's 10:30. 10:30 over here. Then 9. Then, was it 7:30? Yeah, a little bit of a mind game here. Back to center. I'm going to walk. And then I'll do go clockwise. So you can see how this makes you moving a different way. So I'm going to step back and up. Step to the side and up. Step out to the 9 o'clock, back up, 10:30, and back to noon. Then I'll switch legs, straight forward again, to the side, out to the 3 o'clock, back to 4:30, back to 6 o'clock. Wow, time goes by fast, huh? So, changing it up a little, always trying to find new ways, slight variations to the same movements. So we did a lot of work on the front, so I'm going to do a little bit on the back of my body. To one of my favorites because it's very important to work the back. I'm working the back of my arms as I stretch the band apart. And I'm going to work the back of my legs by bending the knee and bring it in. Yes, just breathing calmly, and then we'll walk it out. Then if you want more, I want a little bit more, so I'm going to march it out. I know it's starting to get a little bit warm, but that's good. If you're feeling it's like too much, again, backing it off. I'm going to start to slow this down. Just for the next exercise, again, to really take the heat up. I'm going to come into the jumping jacks. So it's actually, right now I'm going to start with like a half jumping jack, just my arms. And I'll add it on a little bit. So it's going to be like about 3/4 of a jumping jack as I take my legs out to the side. So I'm going slow, and if you want, you can go faster. If you're a runner or you're used to doing vigorous cardio activity, you can do the full jumping jack. I'm not going to demonstrate that because it's very difficult. So like I'm saying, I'm working a little harder, so I'm gonna slow it down and slow it down some more. As we're moving towards the end, I'm gonna always wanna work balance. We have done balance already. We did a lot of movement. right? I'm gonna walk in place. Balance is so important. Technically, this is balance, right? For a short moment in time, all my weight is on one leg. Much easier to do when you're moving. When you stop and hold that, it can be very hard. So I'm just gonna walk in place. I'm not gonna need the band right now. So I'm gonna make this a little harder than I did previously. I'm gonna lift my right leg. I start in the middle, weight even in both feet, both legs working evenly. I'm gonna shift into my left leg so I can take the right leg up. I'm gonna hold the leg. I'm gonna hold this position for a little while. You want to make this a little harder, you can straighten the leg. Kind of get a little stretch in the back of the leg. Then taking the leg out to the side. So if you're new to this, yes, definitely have something to hold on to. But you want to not make that yourself dependent on that. The purpose of this is to create more stability in ourselves. But if we're always holding on, we don't get as much advantage. So you're better off if you can do this without holding on to something. You might be better off just being here and not doing all the other movements. A little shaky there. And I'm going to straighten the leg. Well, so I come out, so I just come right back into where I left off. You can even do this bending and straightening. And I'm going to come to center, balance myself, and then take the leg out to the side. Yeah, very hard. As you can see, I was much better on the first side. It's because I have a problem with my knee. It's not very stable. So you would say like, well, I shouldn't do that side. But really, to actually compensate it evenly, I'm going to go through that again, a little for not quite as long. The more I practice my weaker side, the better it's going to be. At least I hope so. Okay. So the next one again is to stretch the front of the leg. It's very important. So we're going to do, it's a lot of movement. I'm going to bend my right knee. I'm just going to touch my heel. And then I'm going to bend the left knee and just touch the heel. Moving side to side. Again, we're doing a lot of aerobic. You can go very fast with this. This is an exercise that actually runners do. So they'll run and they'll be doing this. And I'm gonna, so you may want to hold on to something to do this next one. I'm gonna bend my right leg. I'm gonna try to hold the foot, ankle. You can use your strap to grab the foot. It's called a quadricep stretch. The front of the leg between your knee and your hip. And coming out. Whew. Second side. I know this is tough. Well, doing the best you can. Well, I want to do this again. I have a chair nearby, so I'm just going to do this seated in a little while. The same stretches sitting down. Taking balance out of it sometimes is better. because I'll be more stable. I can get deeper into the stretch. Releasing. Okay, I'm going to take my legs wide, like we did a few times the side lunges. So I'm just going to go side to side, stretching my inner thighs. I'm starting off fairly fast. I can go a lot faster, particularly if you have a chair to put your hands on. And then I'm going to slow it down. Pause here. Stretching the inner thigh. I'm going to the other side. I'm slowing things down to, as I'm cooling down, to stretch the muscles. And we start off and then we warm up, and then when we hit the height, we slow it down. I'm just going to bring my hands down onto my knees. My hands are on the knees, so my shoulders are above my hips. Because if you have blood pressure problems, either high or low, you don't want to go further. If you have problems with your eye, like detached retina, not worth going further. But if you're healthy with all of that, you can go all the way, bringing your... I've seen people put their head on the floor doing this. I'm not going to do that. But I'm getting a nice stretch in the back of my legs. I'm coming up. And I'm going to do the same, some more stretches. This time, I'm going to turn to the side. I'm going to stretch the back of my legs, lower leg, I should say. So I'm going to step back with my right leg. I'm going to bend my front knee. I'm trying to keep the heel on the floor. I'm stretching into the back, just below the knee. There's a bunch of muscles here, but they're much different. They both do the same thing. They're mostly doing our propulsion, pushing us and walking. So I'm going to step in a little bit, about half the distance. And again, I'm going to bend the knee even more. So I'm stretching a little lower into my leg. Anytime you work these muscles in doing the marching and walking in place, very important to stretch these muscles. They're very powerful, but they tend to be very tight. Particularly knowing from running, yes, this is a big problem for runners. So I'm going to ground my heel down as I bend my front knee. Stretching low into just below the knee. Very important to stretch after exercise. There's been a change. A lot of people would tell you to stretch before exercising. Now the belief is that's not really that good for us. Not good for the muscles. I'm going to step forward because now my muscles are pretty warm. Particularly down low in the leg here, right by the ankle, is very dense tissue. Where we can very easily injure the leg. Coming up. Okay, again, another difficult balance. I'll stay to the side. I'm going to step, my one foot is stepped a little bit further. I'm going to put my hand on the bent leg and straighten the front leg, stretching the back of the upper leg into the hip. And I'm switching and going to the other side. So again, you can do this sitting down, much easier. Some people want a little bit more challenge, so you can do this standing like this. Notice how my hands are on the bent leg. They're not on the straight leg. The possibility that you could push your straight leg to more than it should be straightened, which is actually a big problem. You do not want to push our joints past that point. And we can do it with body weight. We can push it that far, too far. Okay. A little bit again for the working our way up, working from lower parts to the upper part of our body. I'm taking my right arm up across my body. I take my left hand onto the upper right arm and I draw the arm into my torso. To stretch the upper and part of the arm into the back of the shoulder. Take my arm alongside my ear. I'm going to push my left hand into the muscle, and push the muscle to my elbow. Push so the arm comes up alongside me. You can even take it a little deeper. You can bring the hand onto your elbow, trying to draw the right hand down the back, which is also good if you ever have like that itch on your upper back. You could get to it without the back scratcher. And I'm just going to do the same thing on the other arm. I'm going to go into the back, stretching the back of my arm. I'm pushing the muscle up towards the elbow. And I can take my other hand and draw my left hand down my back. It's possible to go very deep into this, which I won't get into. That's really, it gets into more of the deep yoga stretches. And releasing. We're going to do a very basic stretch for the up front of the shoulders and the chest. I'm just going to take my arms back, lift the chest up. Good to stretch the front of the spine. There's another one to stretch the upper back, which is not good for people if you have problems with bone density like osteoporosis, osteopenia. They call it the cat pose or angry cat. I put my hands, I'm going to turn to the side. I can't do this very well. My cat does better at this. I just round my spine. I'm compressing, you can hear my voice changing. I'm compressing the front of my chest here in the area called your sternum, where many people with weak bone structures fracture those bones. And once they fracture, they don't unfracture. So be very careful with that. I'm going to take my hands, interlock my fingers behind my back. I lift my chest. Release. I'm going to end with some very simple neck exercises. I'm very careful with the neck. I go very gentle with it. I'm just going to start by just lifting my chin up. And then I'm going to bring my chin into my throat. It's not into my chest. Otherwise, you do the same thing where you risk fracturing the bones in your vertebrae. So just very gentle. I'm not going very far. The head really shouldn't go too far back. I know people that have had some injuries doing that. And I'm just going to go turn my head side to side. Just the basic movements that we need to do. Then something to go maybe a little bit more, very gently. I'm going to take my ear, I'm going to try to touch my right shoulder. And then the left. The important thing to remember is the ear moving towards the shoulder. Don't lift the shoulder towards the ear. That will actually do the exact opposite that we want to do, which is stretching the muscles in the side of the neck. We actually compress those muscles. So the simplest thing, if your neck is bothering you, is just to use your own fingers. I'm going to take 3 fingers on the side of my neck. Right behind my ear, I find there's a bone. I come down midway, I just push the muscles forward and back. Very tight fibers there. Just a simple self-massage. And then I go up and down the muscle. At some point in the day, I'll do something specifically on the shoulders. And then we'll get more into stretching for the neck. But we're going to just finish up with some very gentle shoulders. Just going to roll the arms around. I'm going to lift my shoulders up, roll them back and down. And just do that 3 times. And then maybe next time we'll do either shoulders or hips. Okay, bye-bye. Have a great day.